welcome to Conversations with the Mod Squad. I'm your host, Kevin, always joined by Felix.
What's up?
And this week's guest is Sean from the Bulldog Social Club podcast. How's it going, Sean?
I'm doing good. How about you guys? Yeah.
Doing good, man. Doing real good. Having a good old time over here. The first question I would like to ask is, what exactly is the Bulldog Social Club podcast, and how did that show come about on YouTube?
Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short. About 6 years ago, I had a transition in work where I would have a little more time to pursue some hobbies. And there's two things in life that was always consistent that were a passion of mine, and that was dogs and the spoken word, especially like radio. Talk radio was a huge thing in my life. It started out listening to sporting events on the local sporting teams on the radio. I would have my earphones in. You know, back in the day, remember those headphones? That was the radio.
Oh yeah.
Headphone combo.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'd be walking around the house with that, or I'd be playing my little Nintendo, and while I was listening to the games, and then when sports radio became a big thing, I was listening to that, and then Howard Stern came to my local town, and so I started getting into that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that has been a theme my whole life, and you know, when podcasts became a thing, it was a really pivotal moment in my listening life, and so I was listening to podcasts in 2007 and 2008, and so like I said, when I had more time on my hands, I was like, you know, I really want to do this. I've always kind of been a little bit obscure. I'm the only child, so have had a lot of times of personal reflect and in my own head, and so I thought, you know, what a great outlet. I could talk about two things that I love doing, and that's the spoken word and interviewing people and getting to know them, and then pursue more knowledge about dogs and the inner workings of things like dog breeding and different breeds from around the world. And it's brought me to the point where I've interviewed people all the way from Pakistan to Australia to all over the United States and North America to get to know their particular dog breeds and their styles of breeding dogs.
Oh, very
That's
cool.
what's up.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
So basically, Sean, what this show is all about is letting your fans get to know you more on a personal level, but kind of in a lighthearted way. What we'll do is we'll start off with some word association, then some, thought-provoking questions, and then finish off with some rapid fire this or that. Felix is going to start us off with some word association. So Felix, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
All right, man. Just the first thing that comes to mind. Western.
Pendleton, Oregon, where my mom's from. It's cowboy country, and it has one of the largest rodeos in the country. At least when I was growing up.
That's what's up. All right, hero.
There's a lot of heroes. Bringing it back to Pendleton, my mom lived next door to her principal, vice principal in high school, and he actually was a pivotal person in my life. Since I don't have a very large family, he was kind of a surrogate grandfather, and a lot of life lessons from him. So he was definitely a hero of mine.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Desire.
To be financially self-reliant. Yeah.
All right. Network.
There's a few things, but the top thing that comes to my mind for sure is that 1970s movie, I'm Mad as Hell speech. Yeah. That was a really... that speech stuck with me even as a kid. I didn't understand it, but now I understand it even more, so...
All right, Storm.
In the Midwest. I'm originally from the Northwest, and now that I'm a Midwest transplant, there's storms mean a little different out here than they are back home.
Adventure.
Life. Life is an adventure, yeah. Sometimes good or bad.
Astro the dog.
Astro the dog. Well, whenever you bring up a dog, I always say best friend. So
Bizarre.
bizarre. I guess where I'm from is pretty bizarre. Portland, Oregon.
It is.
It is, Kevin. Memory.
Memories with my parents. Since they're both gone now, I think that always, when you say memory, those are the things that pop up.
All right. Fear.
Working till I'm 80.
That's a fear.
Yeah.
This one's deep, real deep, man. Serious. Put your serious hat on.
All right.
Cheeseburger.
Oh, you're gonna hate me for this.
Vegetarian.
No bun.
No carbs, huh?
After I had gastric bypass surgery about 7 years ago, bread has been really a difficult thing for me to digest. So I stick to the meat and cheese and everything else.
That
I
works.
don't care how fattening it is or whatever. It's just no bun nowadays.
Oh, I get that. Being diabetic, I've done that same thing.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to go into a little bit more thought-provoking questions. And to follow up on Felix's cheeseburger, is a hot dog a sandwich?
I watched a couple episodes and I'm going to be the contrarian here. Yes, because being a poor guy a lot of my life, I used to cut hot dogs in half and fry them up and put them in a sandwich with cheese, and if I had some other condiments or like onions or whatever, I'd put that in there. So yes, hot dogs are a sandwich in my world.
All right. I can't hate. I mean, everybody's different. You're wrong, but everybody's different.
You know what? You sparked a memory, and I'm going to speak up here. I normally don't. My mom always made tortillas. Hispanic family. There's always some sitting there. And when I wanted a quick snack, I honestly would get a tortilla, flour tortilla, put mayo on it, get a hot dog, put it in it, roll it up, and just eat it like that. And so it could be a burrito too. Then
There you go. But when I think of hot dogs, I think of going to an event. And I love going to wrestling events because when that wrestler comes through that curtain, when that theme song hits, you know exactly who he is and what he's all about. If you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what would it be?
You know, I thought about this one, and I kept coming back to it because as a kid, I was a huge wrestling fan in the 80s. And I would go to all the events that came to town. Even I was an NWA fan before I was a WWF fan. So at the time, I just remember seeing the Road Warriors live, and so their theme songs when they walked to just the adrenaline I got as a little kid. So that would be my theme song, the Road Warriors.
I like it.
Yeah.
What a rush! Love them. Love them.
Yeah.
Oh, I love a good wrestling theme song.
Yeah.
Speaking of songs, what is your guilty pleasure car karaoke song? That song that you kind of roll the windows up, blast the radio, and sing as loud as you can, but kind of embarrassed that you do.
I guess anything from the Counting Crows, like Mr. Jones, they're kind of I grew up listening to hardcore and some punk and some the metal and so they're kind of wimpy in a lot of ways. So, but yeah, for whatever reason, their music, when I listen to it, it kind of gets me. So definitely embarrassed, windows are rolled up, but I'm definitely singing along.
Hey, I can't hate on Mr. Jones.
Yeah.
Mr. Jones and me. I love that song actually.
Yeah.
We're gonna stay in the car though. What is the farthest you've ever traveled from home for vacation?
Ooh, vacation. If we're talking air, it would probably be Costa Rica.
Ooh,
Yeah, I've been to
that's a
Costa
good
Rica
vacation.
a couple of times. Yeah,
I love the beach. That would be a great destination place.
yeah.
All right. Well, that is in miles, though. If you could travel 10 years to the past or 10 years to the future, but only for 24 hours, which way would you go and why?
Well, I guess I'm gonna get a little sentimental here, but it would definitely be 10 years in the past. I would love to spend 24 more hours with my mom.
No, can't hate on that.
Yeah, she meant a lot to me, and she wasn't perfect, but she was the best that she could be, and she was a great mom all around.
I love it, man. You know what? I love it. Great.
That was my answer as well.
Yeah. Now, how about a little color theory? How would you describe the color purple to a blind man?
Well, it's one of those colors. Like the older I get, the more I'm into colors like purple, pink, and
Pink, yeah.
bright colors. I don't know if it's because of our eyesight is going, and so we like those colors that pop. And I would describe kind of just a calm happiness to somebody. And then if I was going to further describe it, I would say taste a grape or a plum or something, because I love grapes and plums. So yeah, just a happiness while you're eating a plum or something like that.
I like it. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a real good one, actually. All right. What is the funniest thing to ever happen to you that you can legally talk about?
Well, I don't know if I was 12 or so, around there. We were big into wiffle ball. I had the biggest front yard of all my buddies, so my front yard was the wiffle ball yard, and so next to my house was an auto body shop, and he had a bunch of old junker beater cars and car parts in the back, and the grass was, oh god, chin high basically, and we would lose wiffle balls back there. So my buddy and I we lost a bunch of wiffle balls, so we went back there to go digging for him, and he stepped somewhere, and it was those hornets that live in the ground.
Oh no.
And stepped in the hornet's nest, and all of a sudden I felt like this, like from head to toe, I was my body was like fell asleep. You know how your foot falls asleep, you had that buzz all over. And then my buddy realized we were getting stung, and so of course I panicked, and we had a hose out in front by the side of the yard, and my buddy said, take your shirt off, take your pants off. And so I took off all my clothes. He just, take it off. So I'm butt naked in my front yard, and he's spraying me with the hose. And of course, who walks by? The neighbor girls, you know what I mean? And so the next couple of weeks, the big joke was, you know, how little of the tallywhacker Mr. Sean had. Yeah.
Oh, good times, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you could poll your family and friends, what would they say you're most known for?
Oh no. Sean from the past or Sean now?
Your choice.
Well, I'll give you a snippet of both. Sean from the past would be probably the guy that would always lead with his fist and his chin. I was kind of a bit of a guy that loved to scrap it up a little bit. But the older I get, probably just somebody who is calm and laid back and is a good listener these days.
Right. Yeah. Those hormones kind of leveled out, is what they did. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you catch me in the right moment that Irish temper flares, but I try to keep that under wraps these days.
I get it, man. Yeah. I definitely get it. Well, I'm a Superman guy. I love reading comics. Superman is my favorite superhero. But if you had one superhuman power, what would it be? And would you use it for good or evil?
I would definitely Well, reading minds has always been something that I wanted to do, especially the kind of work that I've done in my life. Yeah. So I would definitely want to do that, and if to use it for good or evil, I think there'd be a whole lot of gray area.
Agreed.
I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely with me too, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, I love reading comic books. That is one of my favorite medias of choice. But what single piece of media, whether it be book, movie, or TV show, has had the most influence on the person you are today?
Well, radio was a big thing for me. It just brought me a sense of joy and calmness, and it was always the spoken word. I enjoyed listening to people, and even if it was, politics or other subject matters, it got me to think outside the box and critically look at the world in a different lens. Not all of it was good or bad or whatever, but it just gave me that a different perspective, and then it also made me laugh and feel joy. So definitely radio.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I remember back in the day that it was like telling movies on a radio when they would do the spoken word and stuff. It's a lost art. Yeah, it's a very lost art.
Yeah.
But speaking of movies, if your life was a movie, what would the title be, and who would play you?
He tried, and let's see. God, I don't know the actor's name, but I'll go with what's the guy from Eastbound and Down?
I don't know. Never seen it.
Yeah, or I guess another one that comes to mind is Chris Farley. You know what I mean?
Farley,
yeah.
I got one for you. Tell me if I'm off base. But Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, I like Michael Rappaport. He's been in some good stuff. He's kind of a goofball in real life, but I definitely like.
I'm thinking Vincent D'Onofrio, especially if he grows out a little bit of a
maybe.
Yeah, I like him too. Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Oh. All right. Well. I love a good movie. One of my favorite movies is Castaway. Where they're stranded on a desert island. But if you were stranded on a desert island, typical question: what 3 items would you take with you, and why? I see your little baby there on camera.
Yeah, he's the troublemaker. Well, I guess probably one of the first thing I'd bring was my wife, because she's way more handy than I am. She would be, she definitely is kind of the more of an outdoorsman than me. So
okay, but I'll say this: then you wouldn't be stranded.
You're right. So the 3 things that I would bring would probably be pen and paper to kind of pass the time and try to keep my thoughts and
that's a good one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then probably definitely shoes. I cannot be barefoot anymore, so shoes and socks would be the biggest thing for me. I wouldn't care if I was naked as much. I'd figure put some leaves on or something. But yeah, I don't want those feet to be bare. And then probably a nice big old machete or something to be able to.
That's fair.
Do some hunting, cutting down some brush or something.
I like it. That's definitely fair.
Yeah.
All right, if you could switch lives with someone for a day, who would it be and why?
For whatever reason that it comes to mind is I'm a big hockey fan, so probably an NHL coach, just to see what what it's like to be ahead of an NHL team and travel and see what the inner workings of the NHL is on the coaching side. For whatever reason, when the sports side of things for me, the game isn't as interesting as to me as the back end, what goes on behind the scenes to prepare to be the best athlete or whatever profession you're in is the most interesting to me.
I like that. I always like behind the scenes stuff as well. Yeah.
Especially with movies and stuff like that.
Yeah. Or for me, wrestling. I like behind the scenes in wrestling as well.
Me too. Yeah. I watched all those shoot interviews.
That's a good answer, though. I really like your answer. Yeah. Go Lightning. What? Last couple questions I have is, what are your 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year goals?
1 year is definitely to maintain, just keep my head down and do what I have to do. 5 years, I hope the economy gets better, and I hope my wife is selling more houses, and the housing market is back to some sort of normalcy, and that I'm able to pursue some of the things that I want to be able to pursue, and hopefully being a little more financially self-reliant. 10 years, definitely on my own, self-reliant, getting closer to the time where maybe I could to slow down a little bit.
I like it. Good answers. All right, last question I have is, if you took center stage to the world and had everybody's ear, what would your message be?
That we're all in this together, that we're, the fighting factors in our lives are only a handful of entities and people, that we have our own best interests at heart, and no other corporation or politician or anybody like that has our interests in heart but us.
Very true.
The people.
I like it.
And so let's lay down our swords and come arm in arm and be work for the same goal. We all don't have to be friends, but let's create peace and prosperity.
I like it. I like it a lot, actually. All right, that is all I have right now. We're going to finish off with some rapid fire this or that from Felix. Go ahead, take it away, my man.
Kevin, before we continue with this or that, I gotta show Cujo.
Oh, look at him. Look at her.
Yeah, her. Oh. She's my little brat. This is her house. She's getting a little older. She's about 13.
Yeah.
And like I said, she picked me. I didn't, I wasn't. It was like dogs, get them away from me, and she came into my life. So
yeah, I love.
Wanted to meet.
I love Chihuahuas. I love them. Yep, they're great dogs.
She was 3 pounds for the longest time, but as she got older, she got a little bit of weight there. But all right, rapid fire this or that. Mm-hmm. Is the term GIF or GIF?
I always use GIF.
Same.
Yeah.
Is it Android or Apple?
Reluctantly Apple.
Scooby or Snoopy?
Snoopy.
Really?
Yeah.
DC or Marvel?
Marvel, because the movie Unbreakable.
Prince or Michael Jackson?
As a kid, Michael Jackson was definitely the more inspirational force, but yeah, Michael Jackson, I guess.
All right. 80s or 90s music?
Oh, by far, 80s.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Reluctantly, yes. I resisted.
Podcast over.
I will talk to you later, man. It was nice meeting you.
I was resistant until my wife forced me, and I'm hooked now.
All right, Xbox or PlayStation?
Well, now it's Xbox, but I was a PlayStation guy at the time.
All right, I know the answer to this one, but I gotta ask it. Cats or dogs?
Dogs. Yeah, I love them both, but dogs for sure.
All right, checkers or chess?
I'm too much of a dummy, so checkers is definitely more my speed, and I'm not any good at it.
All right, books or Audible?
Oh, Audible, 100%. You won't catch
Why-
me reading.
Wired or wireless headphones?
Wired for sure. I am a burgeoning audiophile, and you cannot get the same sound out of wireless.
Last two here. A Dog's Purpose or Marley and Me?
A Dog's Purpose.
And my last one, soft or hard? Homemade tacos.
100% hard tacos.
That's what's up.
I love hard tacos. Soft tacos, I'll eat them, of course, but I am definitely a hard taco guy.
I love it. I love it. All right, Sean, I want to thank you for being on, but the last question I really want to ask you is, do you have anything coming up, and where can people find you?
Yes, I do. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned this. I do have a new podcast, and I still, I'm slow on the editing part of it. Forgive me, but and I just came up with the name recently of the channel, and it's up there, but nothing is up to. But I had a chance to interview Kevin, and then Clay Allen from Clay Allen Reviews and Chronicles. And so those will be up there very soon, but I named the channel Voices of the Enthusiasts. And that. Basically it's just a channel where I'm interviewing people who have who content creators who are creating things, and are doing it for the love of the craft, so to speak, and people who aren't necessarily maybe looking to make a living at it, and if they are, they're just trying to figure their way through it. And also I want to be able to interview people that are doing that, and who are pursuing that dream, and just what life is like for them, and the real questions, and how they got there, and kind of to get away from more of the less fluff and more realism on the interview side of things. And then also, I'm definitely going to want to pursue people who have become self-employed, and who own small businesses, who may not have a lot of employee, kind of solo entrepreneur type stuff, or maybe a handful of employees. People who are self-reliant on their own paycheck. The older I get, the less I like the idea of being a civil servant, like I have been this last 30 years. So I definitely admire people that have had the guts to take that road, and I'd love to hear their journey. So.
Awesome, man. Very cool. So everybody definitely be on the lookout for that. All right. I want to thank you again for coming on. It's been a great time. So that does it for this episode of Conversations with the Mod Squad. So for Sean and Felix, I am Kevin saying, if we don't see you again, thank you for being a friend.
See ya.
Yeah.